lads like my John as keeps you alive. You're none fit to be mongst decent livers. I do believe as the law wouldna favour ye." His sallow skin grew white and then purple. "You try the law, Lisbeth White, and you'll find as it canna touch me. Your man signed the agreement to pay me my money, and if he couldna pay, I were to be at liberty to sell the land. The land, say I? It isna land. Now but 3 acres of stone and moss, without a real blade of grass. It wouldna fetch 30 pun, and I'm certain sure as the furniture isna worth 10. You'll still be some puns in my debt. I reckon you'll have to go to the Bastille, and I may make up my mind to losing some of the good money. I'd go to the Bastille 40 times o'er sooner nor be beholden to you for out. But as long as I'm stopping in the house, I wouldn't have stunned your jaw. Out you go, you brute, you." She unfastened the door and held it wide open. It was a dark night, and the air was heavy with the scent of withered leaves. The prattle of the spring as it leapt from the moor edge to the trough in the paddock was distinctly audible. "You old wretch," he muttered. "I'll see as you suffer for your brazenness, you beggar. When you're a hoeing taters in the Bastille garden, I'll set the others laughing at you." He moved leisurely across the floor. She sharpened his gait by picking up a besom stale. "Whilst I'm mistress here, I'll have none of you. John's paid you time and time again. Be off, you skin o' louse. I beg and pray God to punish you this very night. If it hadna been for you, there'd have been no burying here for money a year. I'm no one as given to cursing, but you deserve what'n you get." He slunk out into the darkness. She closed the door and bolted it carefully, and when the clatter of his footsteps had died away, she returned to the chair by the hearth, where a choir of crickets was now singing cheerfully, and delivered herself to the melancholy satisfaction of meditating on past joy and present sorrow. Meanwhile, the spider walked down the lane in some trepidation, for her violence had unnerved him strangely. "I do believe who's really a witch," he said. "Her eyes brenned that red. If who'd lived in my great-grandfather's days, who'd have been faggoted sure enough." His mumbling was suddenly cut short by some terrible thing catching the hinder part of his waistband and plucking him up from the ground. When he recovered his senses in some measure, he was on a level with the tree-tops. His voice rose in a harsh shriek. "Help! All of you help! Jack with the iron teeth's gotten hold of me and is dragging me to hell!" But as it was late and the Milton folk were abed, none heard. He flew swiftly through the air, his long arms and legs sprawling frog-like. Once he caught hold of the thatch of a barn and clung for a moment, but the rotten wisps came away in his hands. He gave himself up for lost. The demon was dragging him over the moor in the direction of the river. "Oh, Lord, forgive me, and I'll take advantage of innocent folk no more. I'll do my best to set things right as I've set wrong. If only thou'lt let me off this time." He fell with a heavy splash into the marsh of the wet withens. For a long time he lay half swooning on a tussock of bent grass. Then, when his strength returned, he crawled blindly over the heath to the road. Instead of making for home, he went straight to Crosslow Farm and knocked feebly at the door. Elizabeth was sleeping in her chair. She had been dreaming blithely of years of good crops. She rose drowsily and drew back the bolts. In the dim firelight she looked more like a witch than ever. "You've come back again," she said sharply. "Be off. I wouldn't have it said as I let you in at this time of night." He was trembling like a paralytic. "Give me a bit of paper, Lisbeth White," he stammered, "and I'll write a quittance. You're a wicked woman, and I'll have nowt more to do with you. You're only fit to brenn." "I reckon it's conscience," she said, as she took paper and pen and ink from the corner cupboard. "Write whatever you like and go to—" "Dinna say that, and for Lord's sake," he yelled. He took the paper and wrote, "I, Luke Flint,